All right, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the inaugural edition of Chuck versus the podcast, brought to you by the Ohio Guys Productions, powered by RealNerdCorp.com, live on Twitch.tv/Comic and GameCorp. If you didn't already know, I'm your host for this evening. I am the Crown Vic of podcasting. I'm Alex Swisher. And joining me, as always, my trusty co-host, Imhotep, or He Cometh in Peace, aka Chad Porto.
Sean, I ain't messing with no mummies. I ain't getting no curse. Cause there's no such thing as curses. Fine.
Fine.
And he walks, takes a
My
step.
favorite thing. Just the small smack fights that they have with one, just lightly tapping each other, and they're just fine.
My favorite, like, they're not even saying, they're just going at one another.
Yeah.
That's going to be on the docket for this year. It's got to be.
Oh yeah, we're definitely doing Psych.
Psych is so good. So,
Yeah.
I twisted your arm to get Chuck, and full disclosure, I am not going to say a single bad word about this show unless we get to season 5. And season 5's not bad. The problem with season 5, spoiler alert, is that the main villain was supposed to be someone specific, but he had prior obligations when they were filming, so he could only do a one-spot cameo, which means the last 3 or 4 episodes had to be completely rewritten. So it was kind of just one of those things that you know, it happens.
Mm-hmm.
But this show, top to bottom, is literally the template for what every show today has become. Great action,
Yeah.
beautiful leads, likable, relatable characters, the non-forced strong female archetype character, which is just great, the pop culture galore, and just so much smodge and deliciousness with the buy more.
Yeah.
Hand to God.
Oh yeah.
They could get rid of the sci-fi secret agent aspect and just do a 42-minute canned fucking broadcast of the buy more exploits, and I'd be 100% for that.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's great. The like obviously the show is like comedy based. It's a comedy show with action thriller, spy thriller, elements to it. But man, like Zachary Levi is far and above like one of the most talented actors, and he does such a great job as the lead in this show.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, not to say that the cast is weak in any aspect, but man, he like you look at this show now, you go back and rewatch it, you're like, oh, there's no duh, he got this fucking lead because he's like everything he does, every line delivery he gives, you're just drawn to him. Like it's like fuck, man, he's a great leading man. You
And
know?
the best part is they don't really do a lot of the shoehorning of negative portrayals of the main character. Like, one of the shows you and I both watched for a long time before they killed it with that last season was How I Met Your Mother.
Yeah.
Barney was a loving, compassionate, just sleazeball though. Like he liked the hoes, and that's fine. Marshall and Lily, everyone's favorite couple. Robin had so many daddy issues, but Ted Mosby, the star of the show, Satan, terrible human
Basically
being.
unlikable. Yeah.
And looking back at that show, it has no redeeming qualities because of Ted. He misrepresented Ohio, but like
Yeah.
with
But
Chuck, that's not the case. Like there's a few like the one instance in season 1 involves the Thanksgiving episode
oh yeah.
where he's like, "I'm really glad that Bryce Larkin's dead and not in my room making out with my girlfriend," and Casey just gets him and goes, "Excuse me." But like that, instantly, he didn't make excuses. He goes, "I think I screwed up," like instantly, because he's a
Yeah.
real dude with real emotions, and he sometimes does things that is pretty dumb, but he owns it, and it really gets even funnier in season 3. Oh God, the cheese puffs.
Yeah, I'll be starting that tomorrow as soon as I get off work. Come home, turn it on. I don't think there's anything that I have to watch or that I'm like looking forward to watch. I mean, but yeah, this show is really good. season 1 is like most of the time you're like when you like do start like a show, you're like, season 1's a weak season, you know, it has to set everything up. They did a really good job of setting everything up in the first episode and immediately just being like, all right, let's get on with the shenanigans. You know?
The best gag in episode 1 was yeah, my girlfriend left me for Bryce Larkin. Oh, Bryce Larkin? Oh, I know him. What's he up to? Oh, I think he's an accountant now. And then you see him drop from the ceiling bloodied in the next scene. Bryce Larkin, not an accountant.
So good.
This show does slapstick and sight gags as well as anyone. And I'm very much a fan of both those ideas in comedy. So, like, I'm very much a fan of this show. Like, Casey shooting people with tranq darts is my #1 favorite thing about this show. Casey, you're going to give him brain damage or something.
He shoots people with tranq darts. I love just the weird cuts to him in his apartment with all his surveillance tech, just sitting in his robe and just headphones on, and here we go.
And he's eating cereal.
He's eating cereal or like a weird sandwich. Oh man,
the Reagan photos.
Yeah, and the thing is like my favorite part is that in what I would consider the main and supporting cast, so no guest spots. So you have Chuck, you have Sarah, you have Casey, you have why am I blanking on Chuck's sister?
Sarah.
Is that Sarah?
No, she's played by Sarah Lancaster. Eleanor Faye Bartowski.
Yeah, Ellie. So you have Chuck, you have Sarah, you have
John
Casey, you have Ellie, you have fucking Dweeb.
Morgan,
you have Captain Awesome. I love saying that. And that's like your main and supporting cast. And then you have the supporting cast of the Buy More, which you have Big Mike. You have Big Mike. For a while you have Randall, right? That was his name? No? Randall?
Randall.
Was he the mean Asian dude? What was his name?
No, that's
Was it not Randall?
No, you had Harry Tang.
Harry, yeah. And then you have the two idiots.
We're not stuck boys anymore, Chuck.
Whatever their names are.
Lester and Jeff, the best parts of seasons 3 and 4.
Lester, Jeff, and then what's her name?
Anna Wu.
Anna, yeah.
Woo,
so that's like
Anna. That's actually from Mighty Ducks, but still.
So that's like your main and supporting cast, and you don't really hate any of them.
No,
you know.
No.
My favorite part is they set it up so easy for you to want to be like, "Fuck Captain Awesome." You know, they're trying to shoehorn the Morgan Ellie storyline. It is what you'd expect. Because it's like, oh, Morgan, of course, Chuck's best friend is in love with his sister, but she has this totally douchey, obnoxious boyfriend who he gets called Captain Awesome. And then they show you throughout the first season, like, oh, Captain Awesome's actually the fucking best.
Yeah, he's just a great guy.
He's just a genuinely good dude who's a little bit obnoxious.
It's not even that he's obnoxious. He's just super upbeat about everything.
I love it, dude. I love it. Man, I love how much yeah.
Do you want to hear something actually really interesting about Devin as a character?
Yes.
Ryan McParton, who was brought in to play Devin, was supposed to be the season 1 villain.
Wow.
Devin was going to be a spy revealed at the end of the season. But they got so much positive reaction from him. They're like, fuck it, we'll just keep going.
Well, yeah, I mean, the proposal episode is such a good episode, and like it's so like you genuinely get like, oh man, these two as a couple work really well, and you're like, man, this is cool. This is a good show. It's very well rounded. But then Morgan doesn't need it. Like Morgan's great as a character, but he doesn't need to be shoehorned into a dumb relationship with Ellie.
Right. But the thing that I really liked about Morgan and Ellie is that the characters have known each other for 20 years.
Yeah.
And it's not so much like a shoehorn relationship. It's that he idealizes her because he's been around her since he was 7. So it's like one of those things where he's just like, he doesn't know what else to be at this point. But in later seasons, as Morgan transitions off of Ellie and starts dating, I won't say who, because I want you all to watch it. It's fantastic. Like you start to realize that he's starting to come into his own, and he's very much a sibling to Ellie, and there's elements of that in season 1 as well. But he's still kind of weird and goofy and creepy, and that's part of his charm.
Yeah.
That haircut. Not good.
His bowl cut.
His bowl cut.
Gigantic fucking bowl cut.
So here's how episode 1 opens up. We'll get through the characters first, but I just want to, like, this is the show's humor. So you come into the show expecting it to be a spy show. So you hear Chuck and Morgan saying, "We got to get out of here. We're almost out of time. We got to go." And then Morgan like opens up the window and starts climbing down. "Come on, Chuck, before they find us." And then like Ellie opens the door and Morgan falls and Ellie's like, "Chuck, I invited all these women here to your 26th birthday party. Could you come out here and meet a real woman?" and Chuck's like, "All right." And then also you see Morgan stand up outside the window that he fell out of, and he's like, "You all right, buddy?" He's like,
"Yep."
"Yeah." Like the whole gag was like he was like supposed to be like a high up on this like a 15th floor, but it's actually just outside of his window in the fucking quad, like fucking 2 feet off
floor.
It's so, like little gags like that, man.
Oh, it's so great, man. So we're getting ready to jump right into it, and I want to go ahead and get this out of the way before we jump into anything, because obviously we haven't done a podcast in about a month, and we haven't had. I haven't had a forum to discuss this. I just want to take this time, dedicate this podcast, and put love and support out there to the family of Kobe Bryant and Gianna Bryant, who passed away last Sunday in a tragic helicopter crash, along with 7 other people, Coach John Altobelli, and some other people whose names I'm not forgetting, but just can't remember right off the top of my head. Kobe was a legend, whether you loved him or hated him, you grew up I grew up with Kobe. He was the star. He was the star of professional basketball when I grew up. His daughter was 13 years old, and that is just an absolute tragedy, along with the other children who were present in the helicopter crash. And I just want to take this time to dedicate this podcast to them and their memory, and send out our condolences from the Ohio guys to their families who are grieving right now. Rest in peace, Kobe. You will forever be missed. You were the symbol of a generation of basketball, and you will never be forgotten. So now that we have that out of the way, we can go ahead and get into the podcast, Chad, if you want to.
Fucking pressing you.
I'm sorry, but it just had to be said.
Well, just wrecked the fucking momentum of this podcast. You dunt. That's a dick and a cunt merged into one. You are a sexual extravaganza of douchebaggery.
Okay.
My New Year's resolution to get more creative with my insults.
Well,
you're the broken condom of life.
Yeah, well, you're about as useful as Anne Frank's drum kit.
I thought it was Anne Frank's cymbals, but still, fair enough.
It all works the same.
It really does. Anne Frank listened to dubstep. That's how she got caught.
One of my favorite insults is, "I'd call you a cunt, but you lack the warmth and depth."
Yeah, that's pretty good. So Zachary Levi, I've never actually heard him pronounce the last name.
I think I'm almost 100% positive it's Zachary Levi.
Like the jeans.
Yeah.
So he plays the adorable Chuck Bartowski. Chuck is a Stanford dropout. Well, actually, Stanford expulsion student. He's a general college dropout, though. He never went back to any college. Something his sister is constantly trying to get him to do. He works at the Buy More in the Nerd Herd, and the Buy More is essentially just Best Buy. And the Nerd Herd is just the Geek Squad. And he's the head of the Geek Squad, and he deals with Lester Patel, who is a Hindu. He's an Indian, a Jewish Indian. And then in like season 4, they bring in Danny Pudi to be a Hindu replacement for him. And Lester gets very offended. His best friend is Jeffrey Barnes, who is on everything.
Yeah.
He drinks too much. He huffs too much. He's just too much. Big Mike is their boss. He's a ex-football player who cheats on his wife with Harry Tang's wife. He loves his Subway. And despite the fact he's a good 180 pounds overweight, he believes his body is a temple.
His body is a temple.
Fair enough. Chuck's former best friend, or second best friend, because his best friend is Morgan Grimes. Morgan Grimes is his best friend since like they were 7 or 8. When his mother departed, Morgan was there and helped him get through it. And then his dad departed, and Morgan and Ellie were there to help him get through it. So he's got a very close bond, Chuck does, with both Ellie and Morgan.
Yep.
His other best friend he met in college, Bryce Larkin, played by Matthew Bomer? Bomber? How do you pronounce that? B-O-M-E-R? Bomer?
Matt Bomer, I believe.
He's a fantastic actor. And he's one of those actors, he's so pretty, you're like, I wonder if he's gay. And then he comes out as gay, like, I knew it, he's too pretty.
I knew it, he's too pretty.
Right? Like, you just know. Like, he's the guy that ruins every girl's fantasy. Like, oh, he's so pretty, he's gay. I knew it. He's fantastic. He's also the ex-boyfriend of Sarah. And he's a, what was he? Was he CIA? I want to say he was CIA.
Sarah was CIA. So.
Right. So Sarah and him are
Sarah's CIA. John Casey's NSA.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's stated that Bryce Larkin goes rogue. He's working for a secret organization. He steals the Intersect and he sends it to his old buddy Chuck. John Casey then shoots Bryce Larkin in the chest, seemingly killing him. The email arrives at Chuck's computer the night of his birthday. He opens it, and it's a encoded message that has thousands upon thousands upon thousands of images and documents. And it's basically, they call it a computer, but it's not technically a computer. When I first saw this, when I first saw the description for the show, it's like, what happens when a wacky guy who gets a computer stuck in his head? I'm like, that's a dumb premise. You can't fit a fucking, a computer chip into someone's brain. That would fucking kill him.
Right.
It's more of a pattern absorption. It's like, computer's a really simplified term. So he basically has all these images in encoded files and all that, kind of brainwashed into his dome piece. And when he sees something specifically tied to a specific piece of information or a photo or what have you, he has what they call a flash or a trigger, where the information will then zoom into his the forefrontal part of his cortex, and he'll have a memory or a thought that he doesn't actually have any idea where it came from. It's not his. It's from the information he has. So he's like, oh, yeah, that dude I just saw is totally an East Albanian hitman. Chuck's never been to Albania. He doesn't fucking know. But so the computer gets into his head, and immediately the NSA and the CIA are looking for who Bryce sent the email to. And that's where Chuck meets Sarah. Now, the great thing about this show is they don't abandon cliches like the damsel in distress. They double down on the damsel in distress. The damsel just happens to be Chuck.
Yep.
For the first 2 seasons, Chuck's most popular lines is, Sarah, help! Sarah is a CIA badass who has more fake names than most people have teeth whitening strips.
Yeah.
Her father was an ex-con. He taught her all she needs to know about how to survive, and then the CIA taught her all she needs to know about how to kill. Despite all this, Sarah's actually a really kind-hearted person, But, and I like, and this is the thing that I loved about her the most. She's not really a full person. She doesn't like music. It's not that she doesn't like music. She doesn't know music. She doesn't watch TV. She doesn't have any types of hobbies or interests. You know, she went straight from being a high school student trying to survive, you know, I forget where she was from. Corey Matthews was her classmate. But from trying to survive high school to being, you know, brought into the CIA at 16 by the fucking Candyman, Tony Todd. So she doesn't really have much of a personality besides the fact that she believes in her mission. She cares about Chuck, and she wants to do right by those around her. And she doesn't really have much of a family. She doesn't really have much of anything besides a sense of duty. So when she meets Chuck, things start to turn a bit sideways for her, and she starts to see things differently. Casey, on the other hand, doesn't like anyone. He hates everything. And a great night for him would be a steak, a scotch, and a bullet through someone's head.
Yep.
He is the NSA's top go-to cleaner. I think Sarah's exact words is he's a thug. And he hates everything and everyone, and he always stands the same way. You ever notice this? He always has his left hand on top of his right wrist.
Always.
Always. Yeah. It is a thing he does, and I do not know why. He's played by Adam. Sure. Yes.
So I'm sure that was a character, that was an act, like a choice that he made for the character, and probably just was like, I'm gonna do this one thing. I'm never gonna explain it, but this is gonna be one of those things that you're gonna notice about this character, and how, I don't want to say he's like anal retentive, but
he's anal
John
retentive.
Casey is definitely anal retentive.
Yes, exactly. He's very habitual. And like the thing is, when he does it, like sometimes he'll be standing with like his like right hand on his left hip and his hand on top of his wrist. Sometimes it'll be like dead center. Sometimes it'll be behind his back. Sometimes it'll be like when he's leaning on something. Like it's always something, and it's so noticeable when you realize it. And even like when he's like handcuffed to something, or like he when he got into a fight, I think it was in season 3, and Jeff chloroformed one of the ring agents. And he's like, fight the power, man. And Casey does like a thumbs up or whatever. He's doing it then too. The funny thing about John Casey is that he's not funny, and that's the joke. He's super serious.
Not funny.
He's played by Adam Baldwin, who most people will think is a Baldwin brother. He's not. In fact, Adam Baldwin is the guy who had the single most badass line in all of Independence Day. When not Gene Hackman General goes, "Is that glass bulletproof?" And the guy goes, "No, sir." And he whips out his gun and shoots the alien. That's Adam Baldwin.
Oh, yeah.
And he's basically played that character now. He's there's a great fucking line in season 2. Anna Wu kicks the shit out of Jerome Bettis, I think is who it was. And John Casey pulls out his cell phone and goes, I need background details on one Anna Wu. Possible field work. And Chuck grabs the phone from his hand and goes, "No!" And Chuck and Casey just growls. If there so here's the three main are Sarah, Chuck, and John. And Sarah, Chuck, and John's main lines are Chuck for Sarah. For Chuck it's Sarah help. And for John
Sarah,
it's
help.
And for John it's just that low guttural growl all the time, and it's fucking fantastic.
This is also a line that John Casey will repeat very often in this exact cadence. Bartowski.
Yes. Yeah. Sometimes it's hopeful. Bartowski. Sometimes it's angry. Bartowski. Sometimes it's gleeful. Bartowski. Sometimes it's loving. Bartowski.
Every time it scares the shit out of Chuck. Oh man.
So Sarah tries to be compassionate to Chuck because Chuck now has this information in his head that he never asked for.
Yep.
And Sarah is under the impression, because her handler is Tony Todd.
Yeah.
Whose name on the show is Langston Graham. Casey's handler is General Diane Beckman. And she's a general, and she's 4'10". Can't
Got
make
that
this
right.
shit up. And when Chuck finally meets her, he goes like, "I imagined her taller." So they have different ideas. Langston Graham's under the impression that Sarah will help Chuck get the computer out of his head, while Beckman is basically telling John, if we get a new Intersect, just kill him. He's a liability. and Case is like, I don't give a fuck. All right. Can I kill him now? No. Damn. How about now? No. Damn. And the thing about
true.
Yeah, very much so. And the thing about the first season is you really start to see a lot of the development.
Yeah.
There was, and this is more of a season 2, but it tied into season 1. In season 1, Casey has a rotating picture track, I guess you would call it, where like the picture will rotate and he'll shoot it, and it's to test his reflexes and all that. And in season 1, like he shoots the picture of Chuck with ease, and then at the end of season 2, or at the start of season 2, he misses, and then at the end of season 2, he hits it again. So like you start to see throughout the seasons his attachment or lack thereof of Chuck as a person, and Chuck being the very emotional individual that he is, very much bothers Casey.
Yeah.
To the point where they actually start to kind of become friends, and you can tell that really bothers Casey. But that's one of the best things about the show is that, it does play against types. And I think that's a wonderful thing. With in season 2, they find out that Casey used to be a choir boy when he was a kid. And everyone's like, wait, what? Because he could sing. He can hit a high C. And everyone just like stares at him like, wait, what? And Casey goes, what? I wasn't hatched. It's just a fucking love Casey. So Sarah ends up finding Chuck first. So Chuck gets all the shit into his head. Sarah finds him first, and she seduces him because she's a honeypot. She is the real life actress's name is Yvonne STRAHOVSKI, and when you see her, you go, yes, she is.
Yeah.
Never a name more suited to a person in life. So she kind of seduces him, and she's like, my phone's broken. So he's like, I got you. Don't worry about it. And on their first date, they go dancing, and a bunch of NSA goons try to take Chuck, and she ends up just knifing all these bitches while she's dancing seductively around Chuck. And Chuck's just doing like a one-step side shuffle. He can't dance. Yep. He's just like doing like the geekiest thing ever. And like right there, like it defines them as individuals. Like she's this super sexy, well-trained badass, and Chuck's just like, I don't know how to dance. But she eventually comes clean, and she's like, you have a computer in your head. And he's like, how the fuck did that happen? She goes, well, Bryce Larkin sent you a file. You opened it, and now you're kind of stuck working with us. And it kind of sets off the events of the show. But the end of the first episode of the season, a hitman tries to kill like a bunch of generals or whatever it was, like peace conference guys. And he uses a computer to connect to the charges, and it's locked out. And at the start of the episode, the Buy More crew kind of reveal that, hey, there's this new porn virus going around, so if a computer comes in, that's how you fix it. And at the end of the episode, Chuck's like, I'll use the porn virus, which is the, what was it called? The Irene Demova virus.
Irene Demova virus, yeah.
And he's like, I'll use that. And Casey's like, porn, Chuck? So he gets the virus to shut the computer down, and the end of the episode is really fucking, like, this show hits you. Like, hey, first episode we had Sarah in a cat burglar suit trying to steal a computer, Morgan falling out of a first-story window and pretending that it was like a long fall. You had Casey just being Casey. But then at the end of the episode, Chuck kind of, like, takes off. And he's sitting at the beach, and then Sarah walks up at sunrise, and Chuck's like, how long have you been there? And Sarah's like, since, always. I have not left you out of my sight since you left. And he confides in her, like, I'm not capable of doing this. And it's very honest and it's very real. And like, there's a lot of fluff, there's a lot of comedy, a lot of action, and a lot of great music. But like in that moment, it's very authentic. It's a dude who didn't finish college, who's feeling lost in life, who doesn't have the the fortitude or the abilities to do what he's now being asked to do, and he's scared out of his mind. And Sarah goes, "Just trust me." And that's the catalyst for the entire first season. And she gets him real good. I don't know if you remember this, but I think it was when Chuck realizes that Sarah and Bryce had dated. Sarah goes, "I asked you to trust me, not believe me." And I'm just like, damn, that's actually pretty spot on accurate. So the first episode, like you said, sets the show up great. The end of the episode, we find out that Sarah's now kind of in the area of the Buy More. She's going to work at this place called Winterlicious. And when Chuck sees that, he's like, "Oh, great, what else could go wrong?" And he looks over his shoulder and he sees Casey wearing a Buy More green shirt, meaning that he's like a stock boy now. And Casey's going to work with Chuck at the Buy More. And it's just this really weird kind of scene because like there's this really like melodious kind of like sci-fi, like space alien music playing in the background to kind of like really emphasize the strangeness of the events going on. And like it starts with a bang, it ends with this weird kind of reverberation, and it's just like everything in between was stellar and fantastic. You set up interesting characters, all of them are very likable, and it was a great fucking pilot. And I didn't watch the show when it came out. I didn't watch it until 2014 when it was on Netflix. Right. And I was the reason I watched it was because I was going through a really big funky period at the time. And I didn't want to do anything, so I was looking for things to binge, and I was just like, I don't know what the fuck this show is, whatever. And I'm so glad I did it because it became my favorite show.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. And in seasons 3 and 4, they bring in like a bunch of WWE wrestlers.
All right. Oh, yeah, that's right.
Stone Cold, Stacy Keibler, and Batista off the top of my head. There might be a fourth. So this show tickles a lot of my fancies. So Eleanor and Awesome are doctors, and they are very loving and very active, but they're at this point in the relationship where things are kind of like, kind of falling into a rut because they've been together and doing the same thing for so long. And that's a kind of an arc throughout the first season. And all right, so the best part of the whole first season is, remember when Ellie gets tapped with that truth serum gas or whatever it is?
Yeah.
And at the same time, they're worried about Chuck's cover, so Sarah is pretending to be Chuck's cover girlfriend. And she's like, I think it's time that we sleep together. And Chuck's like, wait, what? And she goes, to protect the cover, I think we should, pretend to sleep together. And he's like, oh, okay. And she's wearing this nightie, and it's very provocative and alluring. And Ellie comes storming in while Chuck and Sarah are having an argument about their real issues, not some fake issues. And Ellie's like, when Chuck was growing up, the only thing he wanted to be was a big boy. And now he is a big boy. And I know this because he's dating, and she looks straight at Sarah's tits and goes, and he's dating a big girl. And Sarah just like covers up, and Awesome's like, I don't know what's going on. I'm so confused. But it's like those sight gags, man. Like that's what makes this show so damn good.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So fucking good. So what did you think of what was the second episode? Let me open this up. I think the second episode was the helicopter? Chuck versus no, that's season 2. Yeah, Chuck versus the helicopter. So in this episode, Chuck finds out that there's I think he's an NSA doctor who can extract the information from his head.
Yeah.
Episode 2 of a 5-season show, the doctor doesn't do it. Just spoiling that one now. The doctor fails. But the best part about this episode was it shows you that this isn't going to be just like some random ass, like, oh, now we're buddies. Because even though Chuck is infatuated with Sarah, and how the hell can you not be? and he's deathly afraid of Casey. And how can you not be? Both of them play Chuck off of one another because they both think that the other is a spy for the other side. The doctor ends up evaluating Chuck, but he doesn't ever see Chuck, so he doesn't know what Chuck looks like. And he goes, I think I can get the Intersect out of his head. We'll see. And the doctor ends up, being assassinated. And they find I don't remember if it was an NSA or a CIA grenade, but they're like, if it was a CIA grenade, they're like, yeah, but, an NSA outpost had them and it was still. So, like, there was evidence that pointed to both of them possibly being, like, both Sarah and Casey both being the ones to have killed the doctor. And Chuck starts to get paranoid. Like, I think he says it to Sarah, like, you don't want this thing out of my head. That's why you kill the doctor. And throughout the episodes, Chuck is being pitted against one another by Sarah and Casey until the end, where Casey and Sarah both finally realize it's not each other. The doctor faked his own death, and he's the turncoat. And Chuck is like, shit. And then Sarah gets kidnapped, and Chuck has to fly a helicopter. And Chuck's like, I don't know how to fly a helicopter. And Casey's just like, you're such a dumbass. He's like, shit, fucking Chuck's like 600 feet in the air in a helicopter, like spinning out of control. He doesn't know how to fly it, and all Casey's doing is screaming at him. And Sarah's like, you are not helping.
You are not helping. Oh, yeah.
And the spy elements really kind of, drive home the content of the show so well because it flushes out so much more of who these people are. And Sarah, like, lambasts Chuck when Chuck lands. And she's like, I told you to stay in the car. This is too dangerous. You don't know what you're doing. And Chuck's just kind of demoralized about the whole thing. And a lot of times, Sarah ends up being very heavy-handed with Chuck. But as you start to watch through the season, you understand why. Chuck's not just some asset to her. And that's becoming increasingly obvious as the season goes on. And not to get too far ahead, although I'm about to. And I think it was... Maybe it was season 5, she says it. It may have been season 4. She said essentially, I fell in love with you somewhere between coming in with a broken phone and running away from Casey. Like, so she admitted flat out, like, I've known you for 4 hours and I was already in love with you. So she's motivated by that love. And Casey's motivated by a staunch defense of his orders. Like, that's the one thing that Casey is dead set on. Like, he's military through and through. He's core. He's all about the brotherhood. And the contrast of Sarah and Casey throughout the series is one of the better aspects because you get to see two different sides of the same coin with how they not just handle Chuck, but handle missions. Sarah wants to, if they have to use Chuck, she wants to be gentle. She doesn't want to, blow his cover. She wants to, make sure that Ellie and Awesome, if they get involved, are protected. While Casey's just like, fuck it all. We have a mission to do. If they get burned, who cares? And it really sets up a tone. But, at times you see that their ideals could flop and be wrong. Like Sarah's, like sweet, emotional, empathetic, compassionate, but sometimes she's wrong for having those emotions. While Casey is dead set, just dead, hatched robot, and sometimes he's right. And it's almost Star Trekian in the way they portray the two agents against one another throughout the first 2 seasons, because it does show you that there is no definitive right and wrong answer. In season 2, I'm not going to go into why this happened, but Casey gets really angry, and he's like, you made 2 mistakes. One, you weren't checking your 6 for the last 20 minutes, and 2, you didn't ask me to join you. And everyone's like, wait, you wanted to join us? And Casey's very much someone who believes in Semper Fidelis, So he's someone who's always going to be about that, that bigger picture with the bond and the brotherhood and the teamwork, and it's really just fantastic. Things pick up though in Chuck versus the Tango. This is the episode that I feel like in season 1 hits the notes of what this show's going to be. Chuck goes undercover, has his cover blown, dances with some sexy Hispanic chick who ends up being an assassin.
Sure does.
He learns the tango from Captain Awesome because he's
But
like the girls part.
he learns the girls part.
And the best part is like so here's the setup. So the cover is that Chuck and Sarah are going to go to this art gala. Sarah's going to seduce some guy, get the information. Casey's going to work as a bartender. Chuck's going to see if he can flash on anything at the gala to kind of give you an idea of who the assassin is. But Casey tells Chuck, your first undercover mission, do you know how to dance? And Chuck's like, no one told me I need to know how to dance. And Casey, very deadpan, goes, of course you're going to need to know how to dance. It's a mission, Bartowski. Get your head in the game. And, like, he gets in Chuck's head. So Chuck goes to Sarah, like, hey, Ellie, and goes, hey, Ellie, do you know how to do the tango? And then, like, as he asks, all of a sudden, Awesome pops in frame and goes, did somebody say the tango, the forbidden dance? And he teaches Chuck how to dance. And he teaches Chuck how to do it. But as he's doing, he goes, I spent many a nights in Spain dancing the tango and getting a workout in my pantalones. And all the while, Ellie's hearing him brag about his prior conquest, and she's just like hand out staring like, what? Why would you say that to my brother? So they go to the mission, and Chuck is like, and I even learned how to tango. And Sarah's like, why would you need a tango? Is that code for something? And Chuck just turns his head slowly and looks at Casey, who's got the biggest shit-eating grin on his face. And Sarah realizes that Casey actually pranked him. Yep. Casey has a sick and twisted funny bone after all. So no, he wasn't hatched. But he ends up meeting this beautiful Hispanic woman who's like, you do the tango? And he's like, oh yes, I do the tango. And they go to dance, and she's like, I believe you're supposed to lead. And Chuck goes, I appear to have learned the girls part. And she's like, no problem, I'll lead. And it's a very fun kind of dichotomy in the moment, and it's there that she realized that Chuck might be undercover. So she, I'm the bad guy and I'm gonna kill you. And Chuck jumps out a window. It's very it's just so damn good. I fucking love this show so goddamn much for moments like that.
It's really great.
Chuck versus the Wookiee. This is the first introduction of Katarina, who is one of Sarah's old...
Oh, yeah. You said Chuck versus the Wookiee. I was like, what was the Wookiee? And then I remembered.
Yep. So Katarina and Sarah are part of a Charlie's Angel-esque foursome in their early days of the CIA. And Katarina is the more volatile one. She's the more aloof, the more, shall we say, loose in the morals. She's a Beach Boy song. She gets around, round, she gets around. She doesn't care, though. She's very good at her job, and she'll use any means that she needs to get what she wants, including John Casey, who somehow gets himself tied to a bed because he never learns.
He never learns.
And the best part is, like, he breaks free, knocks the dude out, gets into the elevator in the hotel. He's still handcuffed to the headboard, and he's in front of a mom and a little girl, and he's just like, ma'am. And the mom's covering the little girl's eyes. Mm-hmm. So this is the episode where shit comes to a head. Really early, but it does set up the rest of the season quite well. Like, you would think that this kind of revelation would be saved for like a mid-season, season finale type of angle, but they actually end up topping it later on. Katarina, I forget her name. I think it's Katarina.
I don't know.
She buddies up with Chuck, buddies up with Morgan, leads Morgan on because she's going to help Sarah sell the cover, and she's not a good person. Morgan obviously falls head over heels with her because she's a goddamn Victoria's Secret model. So, there's all kinds of nonsense there. But Chuck doesn't know that Sarah and Bryce Larkin used to date. Now, the reason why that's important is because Bryce Larkin was the reason why Chuck got expelled from Stanford. Price ratted out Chuck for stealing tests, and now Chuck resents him for it. When he finds out that she's dated Bryce Larkin, it's literally a day or two after they're playing this game. I've never seen this game before. You write on this little thing, like you ask an intimate question, you're like, worst moment ever, and you write it down. And everyone knows that Bryce is Chuck's nemesis now, and except for Sarah. So Sarah doesn't realize how much disdain he has for Bryce. So Katerina reveals to Chuck that Sarah used to sleep with Bryce. So now he doesn't trust her.
Yep.
And they go to steal this diamond from, and the only other show I can, that this actor's from that I remember is from Community. He played Abed's father in the first season.
Oh, yeah. I knew I recognized him from somewhere. He's one of those actors you're like, he's in a bunch of shit. I couldn't tell you his name.
Exactly. And the reason why they call him the Wookiee is because he walks around in like a Speedo and he's very hairy.
Very.
And Chuck calls him the Wookiee. But he's got this giant diamond that this guy's going to use to sell off to a bunch of terrorist cells or whatever. And they got to steal it. And in doing so, Katerina goes off script, puts Chuck in danger, jeopardizes the mission, and basically has Chuck turn his back on Sarah, and Chuck gives Katerina the diamond, and everyone's like, oh, why'd you do that? That was dumb. And Casey goes, well, she's probably going to use it to get her way up because she's not CIA anymore, and she's not NSA. I think, I don't remember what branch she's with anymore. But she's a gamer. She's going to use the diamond to get up, and get better missions, all that. So Sarah's pissed, John's pissed, Chuck's upset. But the end of the episode comes with Katerina and Sarah getting kind of caught. John Casey gets tied to a headboard by Katerina because she seduces him, and John doesn't learn. And eventually Chuck shows up. The girls save the day, and Katerina ends up basically one last time saying, I'm leaving tomorrow. Do you want to come back to my hotel room? And Chuck's like, I know this is a game for you. And she goes, yes and no. And she basically says, it's not so much that I like you, it's that I just like taking things that Sarah wants.
Yep.
And that's like the first time Chuck really realizes that the feelings that he might be having might be reciprocated. And it's really fucking great. The next one is All Peak Morgan. It's the Sizzling Shrimp episode. They find out that what was she, a Chinese spy?
Yes, Chinese spy.
Chinese.
They were going to a Chinese restaurant.
So it's Morgan night. It's Sarah, Chuck, and Morgan. They're going to a Chinese restaurant to get sizzling shrimp, which is Morgan's #1 favorite delicacy. And along the way, Morgan stops and goes, hang on, Chuck, I want to go buy something. And Chuck sees this shady guy with his brown bag, and Chuck goes, man, I thought you were done with this stuff. Like, remember last time? And it's like, and Sarah's like, oh, drugs. This is clearly drugs. And then you realize that it's just high-end, really powerful fireworks.
Yep.
Because Morgan is like the most PG-13 bad boy you could think of. But this Chinese spy shows up and tries to kill the main villain from Big Trouble in Little Tokyo.
Oh yeah,
right. That's him. So they end up arresting her, and she's like, the Chinese spy's like, you dumbasses. That dude kidnapped my brother, who's a Chinese attaché to the U.S. consulate or whatever. And they're all like, oh, we fucked up. So they help the Chinese spy, rescue the brother. Morgan, I think, is about to get fired, I think, at the same time because, the Buy More's like, running this promotion where if you win the first prize, you get like a cell phone or some bullshit. And last prize, gets fired. And Ellie ends up stepping up to help out Morgan. At least I think that's this episode. I'm going to double check.
I don't
In order to
remember.
flag failing sales, Big Mite institutes a 24-hour sales competition. First place is a free iPhone, while the
Oh yeah.
second prize is
Ellie,
a 2-topping pizza.
yeah, Ellie buys like $700 worth of electronics,
And
if I remember correctly.
the best part about this is Morgan's afraid to lose, so he asks Jeff and Lester for help.
Yeah.
So they're like, "We'll help you." And at the same time, this beautiful woman comes in, and she's like, I'm buying this for my nephew. I don't remember what it was. It's a thing. And what can you tell me? And Morgan's like, "Listen, the big box store, Large Mart, which is like their Costco, is selling it for 20% off. I would go buy it from them." And she's like, "You would pass up a sales to help me out?" And he's like, "Yeah." And she's like, "Here's my number." And like, this chick is gorgeous, like Sarah hot. But as she's giving Morgan her number, Lester and Jeff show up and start doing the wounded gazelle, where they just like start berating Morgan to no ends. And the girl takes her phone number back and walks away. And Morgan's like, "What the hell was that?" And he's like, "The wounded gazelle. You make someone feel so bad that they end up buying things, because they feel so bad about the way you were treated." And Morgan goes, "Does that ever work?" And Lester goes, "I don't know. It's the first time we ever did it." Like, that's some psychotic bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I fucking love it. Next up is my favorite episode of season 1. It's Chuck versus the Sandworm. For 2 reasons. One, we get Sarah in just the greatest Halloween costume God has ever given anyone. She's dressed as Slave Leia from Return of the Jedi.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
The sandwich. I
Yes.
forgot about the return.
Oh, we'll get to the sandwich portion. This was also wasn't this the one with where Chuck meets the ex-CIA tech guy. What's his name?
Is this the one that deals with
Yes. Laszlo Mannerisms.
another actor that I've seen everywhere?
Mm-hmm. He's in Young and Hungry. He was in. Did you ever see that show with William Shatner? Shit, My Dad Says.
No, but I know of it.
He was in that.
Okay.
He was in She's the Man. He was the tech villain for Timothy Olyphant in Live Free or Die Hard.
Okay, yes. So the last two that you list, She's the Man is like the one that is like, okay, yep, I know exactly. Yeah.
So
that's where I know him from.
he's a tech genius who, like, at the age of 12, his parents signed over to the CIA because he's so brilliant that his parents knew that they couldn't do anything. They couldn't raise him anymore. He's too smart for them. So the CIA puts him to work designing all sorts of equipment and whatnot. He ends up escaping from his CIA handler, and his handler is the he's the douche in every movie ever, in every TV show, and everything. What's his name? Greg Baines, I think. He's in Suits. Right? Mm-hmm. Is that the show with I think it's Suits. Hang on. Let me see if I can find him.
I don't know. I get all of the USA originals confused because you said Suits and I started thinking of White Collar, which has Matt Bomer in it.
Right? Like, goddamn.
There's Suits. There's White Collar. Suits was the one about the guy who becomes a lawyer, but he never passed the bar exam, right?
Right.
Okay. Yeah. What was the... Oh, Burn Notice. I'm like USA Originals, White Collar, Burn Notice, Suits. What was the Michael Michael Mosley, EMT one.
Oh,
Sirens.
Sirens, yeah.
Sirens was fucking awesome. That show should have gotten like 7 seasons.
I mean, I'm not gonna argue that. Like that show was awesome.
Michael Mosley was just great.
No, the best part wasn't even Michael Mosley was great in that, but the best part was Stephen Amell. Yeah, Billy. Billy, where's your vest? Oh man, he goes back in. Billy, where's your belt? Oh man, comes back in. Billy, where's your gun? Oh man.
Oh, dude, that was the worst thing for that show for Arrow for me was when they introduced him as Prometheus, right?
Yeah.
When they introduced him as Prometheus, I was just like, Billy. Billy.
The best part about that is they debuted him actually as the main the pseudonym the main hero for the Vigilante.
Mm-hmm.
So he came in and they introduced the Vigilante, they introduced Billy, and like, oh man, Billy's gonna be the Vigilante, and then they're like, nope, Billy's goddamn Prometheus.
Yep.
Oliver, I don't know if you know this, but I don't like you, and I'm gonna slice you. With what? Oh man! Comes back. I got the stick, Oliver. I'm gonna slice you with it. Billy, where's your where's your mask? Oh man!
Oh man.
So, Chuck versus the Sandworm is the Halloween episode. This would be a trend. I don't think they did one in season 3 because it was due to the writer's strike. But they did one in 4, 2, and 1. These I think they did one in 2. I know they did one in 1 and 4. Those I can guarantee. Mm-hmm. And all Morgan wants to do in this episode is dance in the Sandworm costume.
Yep.
Him and Chuck wear the Sandworm costume every year. At the same time, Chuck is up for the Buy More assistant manager promotion against Harry Tang. And Chuck's having issues with pretending to date Sarah. One of the big gut checks is she gives him a photo of them at Comic-Con. Mm-hmm. And Chuck's like, we never went to Comic-Con. And she goes, yeah, but it's for the cover. And he pretty much just says, no, she says, yeah, but it's part of the cover for our relationship. And Chuck really solemnly goes, yeah, our fake relationship. And you could tell he is devastated by not being able to be with this woman. And let's be honest, most gay men would be devastated to not be with this woman.
Damn straight.
So we all feel you, brother. But he ends up meeting Laszlo, and Laszlo's someone that he can identify with and empathize with because, like Chuck, Laszlo's someone who's being used by the government, and he doesn't feel, like he's being well taken care of, and he doesn't feel very, safe and all that, and Chuck bonds with him. They start bonding over James Bond films, something that Laszlo says that he's never seen before. Yep. But it turns out Laszlo has. And Laszlo has a destructive side. And he tells Chuck, all this stuff that you use, I designed it. And I bet you didn't know this, but this random-ass, giant-ass TV controller actually, taps into the fucking nuclear warhead grid of the United States. No, it wasn't nuke. It was the power. He's like, we could flood San Fernando Valley. Just flood it. Wipe it off the map.
But no, I think that what it was is the TV controlled bomber jets that were stationed in on a Pacific island somewhere like Guam. And he was like, "Oh, these are just test routines, but what if we tell them not to do test routines and then we just tell them to bomb the San Fernando Valley?"
That's right.
Yeah.
And Chuck says something Bond related, and Laszlo goes, "Oh, you mean Max Schreck in A View to Kill or whatever it was?" And Chuck's like, "I thought you've never seen these Bond films." And then he convinces Laszlo to not, send bombs to California. He runs and he's like, "Oh my God, guys, I know I need a day off, but Laszlo's fucking crazy." And Laszlo basically kidnaps Chuck, drives away in the Buy More, and he's like, I designed this fucking car too. And then he shoots Chuck out of the ejector seat. And Chuck just starts sliding down the goddamn concrete up right up to these hot chicks in I don't know, a convertible or whatever. And he's just screaming like a little girl as he slides to a stop at the red light. And he just looks over and kind of waves at the girls.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking great show. They end up finding out that Laszlo drives the Buy More car underneath a pier. He's going to blow it up. And Chuck arrives, and he's like, Chuck, if you want to save the car, you want to save these people, I think he's like, cut the red wire, Chuck, just cut the red wire. And Chuck kind of realizes that he's being played, so like there's a red wire and a blue wire, and he cuts the blue wire instead. And all the while, Laszlo's screaming, cut the red wire, and he cuts the blue wire, and then Sarah and Casey show up and arrest Laszlo as the bomb gets defused. And he kind of just starts to realize that, like, I am alone. And, he talks to Sarah. He's like, I thought I made a friend, someone who could get me, someone who I can understand and just be with, and I didn't have to pretend all the time with. And that's the catalyst for Sarah showing up in the Princess Leia costume, because she takes the camera and takes a photo with Chuck in the costume for real, and she says, so you can have something real. And it's a small gesture. It's not that, it's not a big thing in most eyes, but to her, that's an extremely intimate gesture.
Yes.
The best part of the episode, though, is that Chuck finds out that Casey is spying on him, has cameras everywhere, microphones everywhere.
And we mean everywhere.
Yes. And he, chastises Casey about it. And Casey's like, what? It's not like there's anything to watch or listen to, at least not for long anyway. And he's like, you spent like an hour and a half talking about sandwiches, Bartowski. And Chuck's like, we did not spend an hour talking about sandwiches. Casey plays the audio. And it's just like, it's Morgan talking about Munster versus Gouda on a desert island. So the end of the episode has Morgan and Chuck sitting in Chuck's room, and Chuck has the diabolical idea to go, so Sarah told me her desert island sandwich and what cheese she would use. And I think he's like, and he's like, Gouda. And Morgan's like, oh man, she didn't say Gouda. And he's like, she said Gouda. And he's like, man, for someone so attractive, I can't believe she can be so dumb. And Casey, they cut to Casey, and Casey's in his apartment. He's just growling in displeasure as he's having to sit through another goddamn sandwich conversation. I love it.
It's so good.
It's so good.
It's so good.
So, Chuck versus the Alma Mater. I feel like this is an episode that you really like. At least you should, in my opinion.
What was that you cut out?
Oh, I'm sorry. I feel like Chuck versus the Alma Mater, it might be one of your favorite episodes of the season. Because I know you well enough to know the aspects of a show that will go, yes. And I feel like this episode did that for you. One specific instance in general.
I remember this episode very well. I mean, and by very well, I mean, like, I know what happened in the episode, and I can recall certain things, but I don't know exactly what you're talking about. So I do remember liking this episode a lot.
So Chuck finds out that Chuck finds out that his old teacher from Stanford is a CIA asset. And he ends up taking information unwittingly and without authorization, and in doing so, he triggered some type of mechanism or trap or whatever, and one of the foreign agents that are trying to work against the CIA shows up and puts the professor on the defense, and he starts running, and he calls in for support. Casey, Sarah, and Chuck are dispatched essentially to go pick him up. The dude gets shot with a crossbow. And that's like the funniest fucking thing ever, because he just gets shot with a crossbow, and the dude just like lifts the information off of him. And it's eventually revealed that Stanford and this guy in particular was part of the Intersect program. And Chuck finds this out because Chuck has finally given up on ever going back to college, especially Stanford. So he throws out all of his Stanford stuff, and in doing so, he throws out his Stanford ID. And when he sees that Stanford ID, he flashes on himself, and he goes to Sarah and goes, why am I in the Intersect? And it's revealed that Chuck had actually, when he took this class in college with his professor, was the highest of the aptitudes. He scored off the charts. And it was when this happened, he's watching the video and he's like, Sarah, I need to know what this is. I need to know why this happened. Why did I get expelled? Why was I in the Intersect? So Sarah relents and lets him watch this super classified video. And in the video, the professor that Chuck saved earlier in the episode is in the flashback talking about Chuck Bartowski, who is still enrolled at the time of school, being a big prime candidate for the Intersect program. And then all of a sudden Bryce Larkin storms in this recording. And he goes, is it true? Are you going to suggest Chuck Bartowski for the Intersect program? And the professor's like, he scored off the charts. He won in a trillion percentile. Like he's too good to miss. And Bryce basically goes, you can't do that to him. He's not an agent. He's not an asset. He's just a guy. You can't do this to him. You'll kill him. And he goes, it's out. And the professor goes, it's out of my hands. And Bryce goes, what if you were to find out that he cheated? And the doctor said something to the effect like, well, that would change everything then. And then you realize that Bryce didn't, put the tests underneath Chuck's bed to hurt Chuck, but to save Chuck. Because to him, Chuck's the only person in the world that ever actually gave a damn about him, so he's going to do everything he can to protect Chuck. Ironically enough, Bryce still sends him the goddamn Intersect. So, guess that didn't work out too much. But that sequence when when Bryce is screaming at the professor, like, you can't do this to him, you'll kill him, is like one of the most powerful fucking parts of the first season, because it shows you that Bryce isn't this villain. He's actually just trying to do the right thing. And you end up finding out why. Bryce and Chuck have so much more interwoven history that gets explored in season 2 that, it makes more sense than just the obvious. But it's a real powerful episode because, in it, he realizes that Bryce wasn't some mythical beast. He was just his friend trying to help him out. And it was a great kind of exploration in Bryce Larkin, who at the time was, I think this was only his second episode in the season, maybe third. So we hadn't really gotten much fleshed out about him yet.
Yeah, we knew nothing about him. We just kind of, Bryce was a CIA agent who died, and he was a dick to Chuck in college. And
he allegedly slept with his girlfriend, who's played by Jordana Brewster.
Let's just go ahead and put that in there one more time.
Allegedly. So, throughout the series of Chuck, Chuck and Sarah are eventually going to get together.
Of course.
Doy. Like, we know this. It's the biggest slap in the face. You get slapped in the face. You go, oh, did you hit me with a salmon? No, I hit you with a hand, because that's what you expect. You expect to be hit with a hand, not with a salmon. You expect these two to get together. But before they do, Chuck has what I like to call the cavalcade of conquests. None more enjoyable than one Rachel Bilson, a.k.a. Summer Roberts.
As soon as I saw her, I just went, oh, hey. Oh, fuck.
California. Oh, Swish, what state does Chuck take place in? California.
Here we go.
Oh, by the by, Lou loves making sandwiches and does in fact have everything bread, which is just another way of saying an everything bagel, which is just another way of saying schmear.
Dude, you know who else loves making sandwiches? Seth Cohen.
What a coincidence.
Dude, not kidding. 2 songs played when I saw her face. My initial thought was, oh, hey, oh, fuck. And then it was California, followed by that my life is pretty
Oh,
plain.
God.
Watching the puddles gather rain.
Best fucking scene in show history.
Just me and you standing between 2 planes of glass. on the phone with one another.
Neither one of us wanting to go the 20 feet to open the other's door because the rain.
Nope, we're just gonna. And Blind Melon softly plays in the background.
So Rachel Bilson plays Lou.
Mm-hmm.
And Lou comes into the Buy More with her phone all a tizzy. And she's like, you need to help me with my phone. My phone is everything. I have everything on my phone. It has all my grandmother's phone number. It has all of my sandwich recipes. And Chuck's like, sandwich recipes? And she goes, I own a place in the mall. I make sandwiches. And Chuck's like, a girl after my own heart. So he flirts with her a little bit, fixes her phone. And she finds out that he's quote-unquote dating Sarah. And Chuck tries to like, hey, Lou, I know we kind of had a thing. And he's like, you know, I'm kind of seeing someone. And she goes, she named a sandwich after him, the Chuck Bartowski.
Mm-hmm.
And she goes, the problem with the Chuck Bartowski is it'll make you sick. But he eventually wins her over by saying, you know, things are just complicated right now. And she's like, well, I think anyone who would cheat on their girlfriend is a big, giant, stupid loser. And Chuck's like, and I agree. And she just melts and she goes, of course you do, because you're a good guy. And like, she's just like, damn. So this is the first kind of interaction where Chuck, several times throughout the first 3 seasons, will end up kind of waffling between what he wants. And he says he wants Sarah, and he does. But he's also constantly being told he can't have her, mostly by Sarah.
Yep.
Cock tease.
What
but
a bitch.
there are 3 women that charm him enough to quote-unquote break up with Sarah. Lou is the first. And the best. Because it gets in descending order. And they're all the same person. Like, did you realize that? So the 3 women that get Chuck's attention are Rachel Bilson, short, tan, brunette. Season 2, Jordana Brewster, short, tan, brunette. Season 3, Kristen Cruick, short, tan, brunette. I'm not making this up. Chuck has a type. I think I just broke Swisher.
I mean, yeah, you're right. You're right. But then you have Yvonne STRAHOVSKI,
Tall,
who's
blonde, STRAHOVSKI.
STRAHOVSKI. Jordana Brewster.
I feel like
Very
Jordana
attractive.
Brewster for me is in the same realm of the oh god, who was in Million Dollar Baby? What was her name? The actress. She's in Karate Kid 4. The Office did like an entire episode on whether she's hot or not.
I know. Hold on. I know this. Oh, Million Dollar Baby starred Clint Eastwood and oh my God, it's right there. It's at the front of my brain. I just have to access that.
Well, that's never gonna happen.
I know.
Hilary Swank.
Fuck yeah, Hilary Swank. Yeah.
For me, Jordana Brewster is my Hilary Swank. I don't know if she's hot or not.
I'm with you. Like I would say 80% of the time I'm like, yeah, Jordana Brewster, and then I see her in something and I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, you're the love interest?
Her skin's very smooth and her hair is always wrong. Like it's the wrong shape for her. But then like you see her in Fast and the Furious and it's like her hair's, like down and it's not up anymore and it frames her face better. And I'm like, Fast and the Furious, hell yeah. Chuck, hell no. So like, she's very much chameleon. Like she blends in and out. She's not Yvonne STRAHOVSKI, who's just all of STRAHOVSKI.
Tall, blonde, STRAHOVSKI.
So in Chuck vs. the Truth, he meets Lou. He falls for Lou, and he tells Sarah, "I deserve to have a life still." And Sarah lets this happen, and this bleeds into there's like some miscommunication, but they eventually get together, and this bleeds into Chuck versus the imported hard salami, which is the greatest name for a TV show ever. Chuck versus the imported hard salami.
Mm-hmm.
In this episode, General Beckman reams Sarah out for letting him date a civilian. And she essentially says something to the fact like Chuck deserves to have something real in his life. And she's like, Beckman responds with, and you're not at all concerned that this Lou might be playing the assets, because Beckman always refers to him as an object, not as a person. And Sarah goes, Chuck is a very likable, very handsome, very charismatic person. It is completely possible that he could, in fact, garner the attention of an attractive woman. And then all of a sudden you just hear Casey go, heh. One syllable dismisses everything.
What a dick.
What a dick. But an honest dick. In the episode, this might be, despite the quality of Rachel Bilson and the entire sandwich making scene, which, yes, there's like a very erotic sandwich making scene.
Mm-hmm.
Might be the weakest of the show, with the exception of the finale. Like, it was a two-scene show, a two-scene episode.
Yeah.
Chuck ends up making an ass of himself in front of Lou. He ends up flashing on Lou's ex-boyfriend's club. They go to the club to investigate. He ends up ignoring Lou. Lou gets pissed off. Chuck goes to the sandwich shop the next day, and he's like, I want to talk to you. And she's like, you got to take a number, because she's pissed. So he takes the number, and he gets to the counter, and the guy who's working with Lou goes, I'm taking your order. What do you want? And he goes, I'm actually going to talk to Lou. And he goes, then take a different number. So he again takes a different number, and several hours later, he finally gets to the front of the line again. And
he's the last person in the store.
Yep, and he's done. He's got these Gerber daisies, and he's fed to the fucking up. So he gives her the most impossible bread. He's like, grab 2 slices of the pumpernickel and then throw them out, because now you're grabbing the rye, because this is of the Reuben family. And she goes, oh, high cholesterol, how sexy. And then he ends up like helping her smear all the stuff on, and like making the sandwich, and then like they seductively press the sandwich together, and like as they're doing this, she's like getting more buttered up. She's getting turned on by making a sandwich. I fucking love this show.
It's the grossest thing to happen to sandwiches in a long time.
And the funny thing was, they start making out with and they're holding the Gerber days and all that. I just like saying Gerber. It's Gerber days. It's so much fun to say. And the guy who Chuck first talked to at the counter, who sent him away, was like, he had me at coleslaw. Fucking weird, man. But the love doesn't last long. Chuck ends up being suspicious of Lou again in like half a day. Like, Chuck is super fucking paranoid. He should not be dating. And he ends up finding out that Lou is importing illegal salamis from Italy that don't have any preservatives. And she's having them illegally smuggled, because if they get through customs, they'll go bad because of how long it takes for food to clear customs.
Yep.
So this ruins the relationship. Chuck ends up getting kidnapped by Lou's ex-boyfriend. Sarah's there, Casey saves the day and all that. And they end up finding out that the ex-boyfriend had this giant package delivered for the dad and him, because the dad was part of the ex-boyfriend's smuggling scheme. And they find out that this thing's a ticking time bomb, essentially, and neither one opts to leave. And Sarah's like, you need to go. And Chuck's like, I'm not leaving without you. And Sarah's like, why? If you don't leave, I'll shoot you. And Chuck goes, oh, real mature. So as the thing's counting down, neither one can leave without the other. Sarah can't leave because she's trying to figure out how to stop it. And Chuck's not leaving without her. So as it's hitting the final seconds, Sarah just drops the facade and grabs Chuck and kisses him as the clock hits 0. And it's a long kiss. Like, it's a good 20 seconds.
Yep.
And she slowly pulls away and realizes, oh, we're still alive. And at the end of the episode, you know, they end up, you know, opening up the container. It's not a bomb. It's a timer for an air supply. And in the container is the comatose body of Bryce Larkin. Dun dun dun.
Dun dun dun.
And it's like when I said before with the idea of, like, you know, revealing that Bryce and Sarah had been intimate and then only revealing that to Chuck in episode 4 seems like they jumped the gun. They waited until episode 9 of a 13-episode season to reveal that Bryce Larkin's alive. Like, that's a fucking twist, man. Now, it's a two-for twist. Sarah reveals to Chuck that she has feelings for him by having the sexiest of make-out kisses after Chuck had the sexiest of sandwich-making opportunities. Chuck may not be getting laid, but he's sure it's having someone's fantasy fulfillments. That's for sure. Mm-hmm. So that's a big enough reveal on itself. But then you double down and show that it's Bryce Larkin back from the dead. Whew.
How dare they?
That's a two-for twist.
I can't take it. Too many twists. What a twist.
What a twist. So in Chuck vs. Nemesis, this is a Thanksgiving episode. The Awesomes, I think the Awesomes were supposed to come into town, and they end up not coming into town. So, or is that season 2? That's season 2. The Awesomes were not coming in for this one. So they're having Thanksgiving dinner. Morgan's there. I think Morgan has started to date Anna at this point.
Yes, this is the start of the Anna Morgan relationship because of the whole the debacle between Anna's awful green bean casserole and Ellie's sweet potatoes with marshmallows.
Yup.
That's not an important plot point, but that's what I remember.
It doesn't need to be important because it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Anna and Morgan start dating in, I want to say, Chuck versus the Truth. Morgan makes a pass at Anna. Anna rejects him, but then at the end of the episode, they end up making out. Then in Chuck versus the Hard Salami, he breaks up with Anna because he heard that Chuck had broken up with Lou, and he's like, Anna, I'm a wolf. I got to run free. And Chuck goes, buddy, I'm getting back together with Sarah. And then Morgan goes back over to the loudspeaker. Anna, sweetie, you know I was just kidding, right?
That's right. That's right.
So in Chuck vs. Nemesis, Chuck has to deal with the fact that Bryce is back. You know, Chuck now knows a lot more about Bryce than he remembered. But Bryce is still being hunted, so he essentially kidnaps Chuck. Uses him as a shield, and does so because he doesn't want to get shot by Casey again. And the way they kind of reintroduce them, you know, Bryce is kind of all drugged up still because he was in a container for God knows how long, and he doesn't really he's kind of having what I like to call Han Solo symptoms. Like he knows Chuck is there, he hears him, but he doesn't believe it's him. Kind of like how Han couldn't see anything in Return of the Jedi. So as his faculties are coming back, Bryce says to Chuck in Klingon, is it you? And Chuck replies back in Klingon, it is. And Bryce is like, your Klingon's getting rusty, Chuck. And as they're talking in Klingon, John's like, ugh.
He gets so pissed off because he's like, I don't know this nerd shit.
It's literally what I'm thinking about when I hear him growl. This nerd shit. So he uses Chuck as a human shield, and he gets to the elevator, and he starts to escape with Chuck, and he uses this weird shot thing, it's like some kind of serum, and he threatens Chuck with it. And he's like, "I'll do it, Sarah. You know I will." And he gets into the elevator, and Chuck's like, "This has been extremely what is going on?" And Bryce just slaps Chuck on the arm, going, "You know I was gonna do it, right?" You're my best buddy, Chuck. And then the door stops. He goes, whoop, we're stopping too soon. And Chuck's like, needle to the neck again? He's like, yep. and he holds it back to his neck. And Tommy, that's his name, Tommy shows up. And Tommy's got a big scar on his cheek. And he's like, Bryce, buddy, come back. And Bryce is like, if you stop 1 foot closer, Tommy, I'll kill him. And Tommy's like, oh, no. And he looks at Chuck. Some guy I've never met before and don't care about. Bryce, don't do it. And he's so deadpan in his delivery. Really disappointed that he didn't stick around longer. He was only in 2 episodes. He's played by a character actor who I remember from a show called Third Watch. Do you ever see that show?
No, but again, it's another one of those shows where it's like I know of it because it's been talked about a lot around me.
He was an EMT driver in that. I only remember 1 episode, and the ambulance that he drove caught on fire. And he thought someone had set it on fire, and he starts freaking out. But then he realized, his partner realized that that guy who plays Tommy was leaving the AC on in the air in the ambulance all day, and it overheated and burnt down. That's the only episode I remember from Third Watch. But so he's playing the psychopath now in Chuck, and he's hunting down Bryce, and it's revealed that the reason why Bryce is so in demand is the enemy group, which is, I believe, Fulcrum in Season 1, thinks that Bryce Larkin's the Intersect. Something that Bryce has said to keep people from suspecting Chuck. This is the episode also where Sarah and Bryce make out in Chuck's bedroom. Chuck rats them out to Casey. Casey tries to shoot Bryce yet again.
Yep.
Thanksgiving's ruined, and it's just so great. Anna gets whole like pouty face, like when Ellie brings out the sweet potatoes and there's no marshmallows, and Morgan's like, "Oh man, sweet potatoes and marshmallows is like my second favorite Thanksgiving side dish." And Anna goes, "And that's the second favorite side dish." And she tries to make like these like sexy sounds, but it's really weird and awkward. The whole episode is a microcosm of that fucking dinner. And at the end of everything, Awesome looks at Ellie and goes, "How about a destination Christmas this year?" Because Awesome is done. 100% done with the holidays. Episode ends with Bryce and Sarah kicking ass, saving the day, and Bryce going deep undercover again, being reinserted into the CIA, but no longer being viewed as a burnt asset. So he's like, Sarah, if you want, you can come with me. Not really sure what happens at the end of the episode. It's left ambiguously. And in Chuck vs. the Crown Vic, which is the next episode and probably Swisher's favorite episode, besides the Stanford one.
Yeah.
We find out that Sarah rejected Bryce's offer to go with him, but she's torn between her now back from the dead ex-lover and the feelings she has for Chuck that she's not allowed to have. So she enters a bit of a state of depression. It's still awkward between Chuck and Sarah because they kissed. And now Sarah's being tasked to play the honeypot role for a billionaire philanthropist who is smuggling Chinese counterfeit bars, I think, or American counterfeit bars to Chinese. Lon Kirk. I'll never forget that name because it's so goddamn hoity-toity. Chuck thinks Sarah's sleeping with Lon. Causes some dissension. Bada bing, bada boom. It ends with Lon Kirk shooting a rocket. That's a homing beacon activated, and it's heading towards a boat that has Morgan and Anna on it. We'll get to them in a second because it's fucking hilarious. As it's GPS directed, Chuck has the brilliant idea to reset the mechanism to return to sender, and Chuck realizes too late that when he reset the rocket, it's no longer heading towards Anna and Morgan. It's now heading back to where they are. So Casey apparently has the coordinates of his car constantly memorized no matter where he goes. I don't know what kind of man does that. It's a Crown Vic.
This is a perfect car.
It's
the perfect car.
It is Casey's perfect car, and he brags about it, and he waxes it, and he washes it. It's like his baby. So Casey reluctantly gives the GPS coordinates of where his car currently is. His car's 100 yards away from where they are, so he can watch this happen in real time. They put in the coordinates. The rocket hits the car, blows it up, and all Casey can say is, "I hate this mission so much." Chuck loses $100,000, by the way, in this episode, and Casey's like, "You know what? I could have spent $100,000 on. I could have bought 10 Crown Vics." So during this episode, Anna is revealed to be keeping Morgan from her parents. Morgan thinks Anna's cheating on him. Turns out she's just seeing her father and not letting Morgan know about it because, it's Morgan. So Morgan convinces Anna to let him meet her parents. He acts like a total dip on 2 different occasions, and it's where they are on the ship where the rocket almost hits them. And the best part of the episode though was that Morgan was like, I get that you're embarrassed to introduce me to your parents and all that. And she's like, I'm not embarrassed about you. I love you. It's how I feel I have to act with my parents that I'm ashamed of. And Morgan loves this, because, she's not rejecting him. Plus, he ate a shitload of baby-armed shrimp, and he ends up throwing up all over the place because he's Morgan, so of course he does.
Morgan. What we've learned about Morgan in season 1 is that he loves shrimp.
He loves him some seafood. And some Anna. And Ellie.
He does love some Anna. He does love some Ellie.
And some Chuck. Although...
He does love some Chuck.
And to be fair, while not expressively romantic love, Morgan does say Chuck is his hetero life mate.
Oh, where have we heard that sentence before?
Scrapped, I believe.
Oh, yeah. Chocolate bear.
So I was watching TBS the other day. It was like 4:35 in the afternoon. They play a bunch of American Dad episodes.
Yeah.
And it was the episode where Steve goes to space camp and Stan brings in a bunch of strippers to run a laundromat. And when Steve tells Roger, I'm going to space camp, Roger's in the kitchen of the house. Roger's an alien, for those of you who've never seen the show. He's operating on a guy in the kitchen of the house, and Steve's like, I'm going to space camp. And Roger's like, what? I want to go to space camp. And Steve's like, you can't go to space camp because you suck. And Roger's like,
You suck.
and Roger's like, I want to go to space camp. I don't want to play doctor anymore. The patient died. And again, remember, this is an alien operating on a real person in someone's kitchen. Fucking weird show. But as he's doing it, he then starts to have like a Zach Braffian voiceover, and Roger says something to the effect like, and that's when I realized that playing doctor isn't as much fun if you don't have a black sidekick in a hospital drama. And then all of a sudden the camera pulls back, and there's an animated turret going, Vanilla Bear! Let's go see what Carl and the weird janitor's up to. and Roger, because he's Roger, goes, take whatever you want, just don't kill me. Goddamn. So anyway, we get Chuck versus the undercover lover. I believe this is the one with the old spy guy, right? Let me see. Oh no, this is the one where Casey finds out that his ex-girlfriend from Chechnya is still alive, but she has amnesia.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And Chuck goes on a love mission to try to get Casey and his girlfriend back together. Turns out that his girlfriend's not, she doesn't suffer from amnesia. She's undercover, she's French Secret Service, and she faked her death. Because that's this kind of show. Her name's Elsa Trinchini.
That's right.
And she's played by Ivana Milicevic, who is probably in a bunch of shit that you've seen before. Let's see. The Plague, Battle in Seattle, Frankenstein, Paycheck, Love Actually. She's Stacy the American Dream Girl. She was in Vanilla Sky, House on the Haunted Hill. In a deleted scene.
Mm-hmm.
I know she was in something recurring. Well, one. She was an American Dad. Let's see. Banshee. I heard that was a good show. She was in Gotham as Maria Kyle. Maybe it was a movie.
She was in Gotham.
Yeah, I think it's Selena Kyle's mother. I didn't see the last 2 seasons.
I don't know.
She was in Hollywood Confidential. She was in Jerry Maguire as former girlfriend. Great role. Super stand-up. Super professional. Paycheck Down with Love. Her mind a thing in her shoes. Just like heaven. I think Just Like Heaven. Nope, that's not where I know her from. She was in Casino Royale as Valenka. Beneath the Blue, What's Your Number? The Howling Reborn, Aloha, Catfight, The Misogynists. So, basically, the entire episode is what I just described. Casey's pining for a woman that he thought is dead. You get some insight onto Casey, but most of the Casey-centric episodes where you actually find anything out about him don't happen until season 3. So, I would say this might be the overall weakest episode, but it does have some really fun stuff. This was also the episode where Elliot and Devin have an argument over how they should spend their money. Devin wants to get a new front-loading washer-dryer so he doesn't have to constantly go to the laundromat, while Elliot wants a giant big-screen TV for movie nights with her boyfriend.
Yep.
It's the dumbest thing, but the best thing ever is that Morgan becomes a relationship expert.
Oh, I love it.
Ellie ends up getting drunk and passing out during because they had a fight, and Morgan ends up waking up next to her, and Ellie's like freaking out, and Morgan's like, "Nothing happened." And she goes, "Oh, I know that." And Morgan's like,
"Well, obviously."
Well, actually, no. I'm sorry. That was awesome. Ellie was like, "Did we?" And Morgan's like, "No. You were too drunk, and I would never do that." And Ellie was kind of like, "Oh, that's kind of sweet." And then Awesome storms in, and Morgan's like, "Nothing happened." And Awesome goes, "I know."
He goes, "Well, yeah."
He's like, "I know."
Yeah.
And he doesn't say douchey. He doesn't like, of course, nothing. Like, he says it like, "Oh, I know who you are, and I know who she is, and I know nothing would have happened." Like,
yeah, it's literally like he's not trying to insult Morgan. He goes, "I know you're better than that."
He's so goddamn understanding.
He's the best character.
So good. So I feel like we accidentally flew through Chuck versus the Truth, because that was the episode where Ellie gets poisoned.
Oh yeah.
So real quickly about that episode, they all get this might be the best fucking scene in the goddamn series. This guy uses a truth serum that ends up killing people. It's so potent, it raises adrenal glands, and people basically have heart attacks afterwards. And Ellie gets infected with it, and they have to find a cure for it. But along the way, the 4 of them, the 3 heroes and the villain, who, by the way, the villain is the Lord of the Rings guy from Clerks 2.
Wait, hold on.
In Clerks 2, when they have the debate on Lord of the Rings versus Star Wars, and the guy's like, Lord of the Rings is a masterpiece.
The vomit guy from Clerks 2.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the 4 of them get infected.
His face makes me mad.
It's very profound.
He's got caveman head.
I was trying to be diplomatic, but yeah, pretty much. He's an Eastern Island head.
You and I have never been diplomatic.
No, that's true. He's an Easter Island head. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So the 3 of them get infected, and the bad guy runs away, and they have one vial of the antidote, and Sarah's like, "Chuck, you need to take it." And Chuck's like, "No, I'm not. I'm not going to take it. I'm going to give it to Ellie." And Casey pulls out his gun. He goes, "You're going to take it, or I'm going to shoot you." And again, remember, they're under the effects of truth serum. And Chuck's like, "Are you really going to shoot you? And shoot me?" And Casey goes, "No, I'm trying to stick the gun in your face." And then Chuck's like, well, I'm going to pretend to take it, and then I'm going to run it and go give it to Ellie. And he goes like, why am I saying this? And Sarah's like, because we're under the effects of truth serum. And then Chuck just takes off running and gives it to Ellie. Then like they're in the hallway letting their death come slowly. And Chuck goes, today would have been a great day if I had a diary.
Yeah.
And he's like, first entry. Had a bagel today. Second entry, saved my sister. Third entry, incomplete. They end up finding who the guy out is, and they go there. And before they can take the serum, though, Chuck asks Sarah, "Do you love me?" Because they're having the truth serum.
Womp womp womp.
Sarah goes, "No." Chuck goes,
Womp, womp,
"Oh,
womp.
okay, fine." They take the serum. They're all well and good. And Casey goes,
Insert the "you lost" horn from The Price is Right.
So Casey goes, "Did you, when you were under the effects of the truth serum, did you say anything that would jeopardize yourself with the asset?" And she goes, "I would have if I wasn't, if we hadn't been trained to withstand the effects of the drug." Minor point. When they find the bad guy, they knock on the door, and the bad guy goes, "Who is it?" And Chuck goes, "CIA, NSA, and I'm a little bit more complicated."
And I'm a little bit more complicated. The writing on this show is so good.
I'm a little bit harder to explain. So the last episode is Chuck versus the Marlin. They find a bug in the Bymore. Casey, Chuck tells Casey, "You're getting sloppy." Casey realizes that's not one of his. So Casey, Sarah, and the government steal everything from the Bymore. Big Mike walks into his office, walks right by nothing, sits down, notices his Marlin, his plastic Marlin that hangs on his office is gone. Looks out to the store and sees everything is gone. Everything is gone.
Everything.
Yes, from the merchandise to the shelves to the banners, everything. Chuck finds out that it's been literally redistributed in a hangar that they are combing through piece by piece to see if there's any more bugs, because they realize that the bug being used was a fulcrum bug. They find out that, there's a short transmitter, so like even though if they did find Chuck was the asset, they would have to find the transmitter first. It wasn't a strong enough bug to send the image or the information straight to anyone. So the thing is still in the Bymore, so they have to find the thing in order to save Chuck from going underground. And it ends up having to be revealed that it's the Swarmer girl who was in Anger Management TV show. She's the spy. She ends up getting the information. She hunts down Chuck. Sarah and her get chucked off the side of the building, but she goes in. The evil spy goes into a fucking giant trash can dumpster, and Sarah hangs on for dear life, and they save the day. Yay! But along the way, one big thing that ends up happening in the start of the episode is that Awesome goes to Chuck, and Awesome is having a bad day. His heart rate is up. He's sweaty. He's not awesome. In fact, he even says, "Chuck, this is one of those rare few days where I am not awesome." Fair enough, Devin. Fair enough.
Fair enough. Continue.
He asks Chuck, as Chuck is the man of the house, if Chuck would be all right with Devin asking Ellie for her hand in marriage. Chuck loves Devin, loves Ellie. Goes, of course, this is great. And Devin's like very relieved. He's like, "Oh, I'm so glad to hear you say that. Can you hold on to this ring?" And Chuck's like, "Sure, I'll put it in my locker," because it's not like two government agencies going to raid the store overnight and steal anything, right? Morgan, though, thinks the ring is Chuck's and that Chuck is going to give it to Sarah. So Morgan tells Ellie, Chuck's going to propose to Sarah. We're going to lose him. And things transpire. You end up
lots of things transpire.
Yes. You end up finding out that the ring and the transmitter get stuck in the same marlin.
Mm-hmm.
The chick steals both because, of course, she does. And when the bad villain goes off the side of the building, she takes the ring with her. So Sarah and Chuck basically go rolling through the dumpster looking for this ring. They find it. Basically, Devin had this amazing proposal laid out, and it went all night. But Ellie ends up falling asleep in his lap. So Devin starts to propose to her, but she's already asleep, and he's like, "Oh God, this worst day ever." Chuck walks in and gives Devin the ring, though, right at the break of dawn. And because Devin, Captain Awesome, so goddamn awesome, he doesn't say, "Where have you been?" He goes, "I knew you could handle my jewels, my family jewels, Chuck."
I knew you could handle my family jewels, Chuck. Oh, what a line.
And he wakes up Ellie, proposes to her. And this was the dagger in the heart line. So they're watching this go down, Sarah and Chuck. And Ellie says yes, and Chuck goes, "You want to go in there?" And Sarah goes, "This seems like something that's for family." And Chuck goes, "Yeah, I know. That's why I asked." And like Sarah just kind of smiles, and I'm like, "Oh my God." I think she ends up not going in, but she ends up watching them celebrating through the window, and it's so goddamn heartbreaking.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, Beckman calls Casey, and she's like, in a few weeks, the new Intersect will be up and running, and then it's time to take Bartasky out. So the season 1 ends with the looming threat of Casey having to kill Chuck.
Yep.
And I think the last scene, if I remember correctly, is Casey shooting at Chuck's photo and missing, and kind of going, "That's weird." So it ends on a pretty heavy note. I think there's like another minor thing that happened at the end of this season. Oh, at some point, Harry Tang gets transferred to Hawaii.
Yeah.
Because of course he fucking does. Let's see. Living Girl, Jeff and Lester. Jeff and Lester. Nope. No, I think that's it. So, first 13 episodes. Overall thoughts on season 1. What you feeling?
Honestly, it's one of the greatest first seasons of a show that I've ever. Like, let's just be straight up with it. Like, they introduce characters in the best way. The relationships that are not only formed, but have also are formed off screen previous to the beginning of episode 1 are really in depth, and the character interactions are great. The storytelling is really fun. There's really not like the weakest episode is the episode with Lou where he just keeps fucking up over and over. The imported hard salami, where he just they keep making Chuck dunce, idiot, a fuck up throughout that entire episode. When that's not who he is as a person, and he's going to prove that as the show goes on. He's smart, he's resourceful, he's tactical, but this episode felt really out of character for how they're trying to define Chuck as a character. Other than that, every character, even the supporting cast, has been really strong. Guest characters as well coming in. It's fun. And you can't say that for a lot of first seasons of episodes, because a lot of it's like, well, you got to get through the first season because it has to set everything up. And then in season 2, but in this with Chuck, it's like you get through the first episode and you're like, all right, everything's set up. Let's make shit wacky. Like let's have fun with this. So, yeah.
That is like one of the better kind of descriptions of the future seasons. Just wackadoodle.
Yeah. What wackadoo?
So, by the by, the Casey ending isn't the ending to season 2. It's the ending to it's season 1. It's the ending to the first episode of season 2. I jumped the gun a bit. Season 1 ended with just Casey reminding Sarah that we can't keep him safe forever.
Yeah.
So, It's a really strong series that focuses on humor, action, romance. It shines a spotlight on mental health. It talks about the idea of your worth in what you do, the interactions and the friendships that you keep, the idea of what family really is. It's a subtly profound show. There's a lot of trauma also in Chuck and Ellie's life because their father's crazy, their mother's missing, and they carry that hurt. And a lot of that is really expounded upon in season 2 really well. And the person who ends up playing the father is, a minor spoiler, but it's not a huge spoiler, is Scott Bakula.
Hell yeah.
And Scott Bakula might be the greatest guest star in this show's history. And this show has a cameo from Mark Hamill.
Hell yeah.
So you know that Bakula brought it. So season 2 is like so good. Season 3 is peak. Season 3 is like the best season of any show I've ever seen. I've watched it more times than I can count. Kristen Krug, Stone Cold, Brandon
Stone
Routh.
Cold.
Brandon Routh is like the greatest addition to any show I've ever seen, and he's been that several times over. Just it's a damn good season.
Brandon Routh is great.
Plus, we get we get Brandon. So we get Brandon Routh, we get Stone Cold, we get Kristen Krug. We also get backstory
Cold.
on. God damn you. We also get legitimate background on Casey. I think we get a little bit more on Sarah, but nothing too in depth in season 3. We also get the great fucking scene with the sniper, the assassin. What's the fucking guy's name? I can't fucking remember it. Casey and Chuck, though, go undercover and pretend to be the guy. And Rafe, that was it. His name was Rafe. He's an assassin. Just season 3 is great. Season 4 is pretty good. Timothy Dalton's in it. Season 5 is solid, but is easily the weakest of the seasons. But that doesn't mean that it's a bad season.
Right.
Just it kind of ends in a bit of a wonky doodle way. So yeah, next week we're gonna talk season 2.
All right. It's gonna be fun. Yeah. This is gonna be a fun 5-part little series that we're gonna do. It's gonna take us like halfway through March?
Well, let's see. 2, 3, 4. No, we're gonna be done before March. It's gonna take us through February.
Okay, takes us through February, and then we can start figuring out what we're gonna do for March, and then figure out where we're gonna fit in our Psychcast, because that is gonna happen 2020.
Psychcast. Yeah. We're gonna launch our Hallmark movie review podcast.
Yes, absolutely. We have to get that. We'll start workshopping that too.
Well, I kind of already. I don't know, but I already know. Because they're doing Valentine movies easily. I don't know they're doing it, but I know they're doing it. Because, of course, they are. So whatever the big Valentine Day premiere, that's what we should watch.
Yeah, we can do that. Really what it comes down to by workshopping, it just means me mainly trying to find time throughout the week that I have. I'm sure I can fit it into my schedule somewhere. I just have to. My schedule is kind of wacky right now because I just started a new promotion, so we're trying to get things all figured out. So yeah, I'm just trying to get everything figured out, get settled into this new position, and then we will get the Hallmark movie review podcast. We will get the Psychcast sometime this year. Who knows whatever the fuck else we're gonna be doing. I'm sure eventually at one point we'll have we'll probably have random one-off episodes this year that we're not, because we're not going to be prepared, or we're not going to have something set up, or we're waiting for a timeline we're working out a timeline for another long series podcast. So yeah, who the fuck knows? But it'll happen.
Bonus.
That's pretty much our tagline for this podcast. It's like, we don't know what we're doing, but we know we're doing it.
Psychcast should start the first week of April.
The first week of what?
April.
That works. I think we could do that.
Because April Fool's Day, psych, funny, kind of like...
Psych.
Psych.
Yeah.
You named your
Yeah, we
detective
could,
agency Psych, as in gotcha?
Yeah, because that's going to run at least, 9 weeks?
Was
How many
there?
seasons of Scrubs are there? Or not Scrubs. Why did I say Scrubs? Psych.
8?
8? And then do we have to do any for the movies?
I'm sorry, do we have to? Do you mean do we get to?
Right. Sorry. That's I did what I meant to how I wanted to phrase that was, do you want to include the movies?
Yes, but I'm looking to see when because the sequel is going to debut in spring with the launch of the Peacock network.
Okay.
So whenever Peacock launches,
well, it's going to take us about 2 months to get through the base show.
the service is set to launch on July 15th.
Well, shit. So do we push that back? Do you want to push it back then?
Well, hang on. Let's do some simple math.
Okay, so if we started the first week of April.
Yes, we start the 3rd. Season 1, Season 2, Season 3, Season 4, Season 5, Season 6. Then we got 7, 8, 9. So we'll get to June 5th would be technically the first movie, the second movie. So we would be 7 weeks between the first movie and the second movie. We have the open date for season 3 of Cobra Kai for a reason.
Yeah, what?
The open date for season 3 of Cobra Kai for a reason, because the Cruel Summer podcast is not technically over.
Right.
So
we know that that's coming out this year. Do we know when?
Yeah, I have no idea. But my thought is, if we just apply the same logic to the Psychcast, we could still do Psych in April, start in April, and finish it whenever the sequel does come out.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, we can do that.
Because we have the master posts for all the podcasts anyway, so.
Yeah.
So we'll still do it in April, and that means if you can find a 4-season thing in March, or a 2-season thing in March, we can do that as a holdover.
Okay.
So realnerdcorp.com, RealNerdCorp.com. It's where you can find all of our podcasts. You can also find us on Real Nerdcorp at Podbean.com, as well as on the Podbean app at Real Nerdcorp. Download the Podbean app to your mobile device today. We're also on iTunes at Nerdcorp, NERDCRP. We're on Twitter at NERDCRP. We're on Instagram at Real Nerdcorp. Swisher, where can they find your personals?
You can find me on Twitter at X2000Gregs, X2000GREGS. You can find me on Tumblr, 2000gregs.tumblr.com, and you can find me on Instagram at 2000gregs. That is 2000GREGS. Chad, where can they find your personal stuff?
Chad Nerdcorp on Twitter, ChadNerdCRP, and Chad's Photo Hut on Instagram at ChadSPHOTO. Braun Strowman is the new Intercontinental Champion.
Fucking Shinsuke. I just realized Shinsuke didn't defend the fucking belt at the Rumble.
Huh?
Not even on the pre-show. Andrade was on the pre-show.
I'm still surprised that Braun Strowman won a title 2.5 years after he should have.
Yeah, literally, the biggest joke of 2020 is the fact that Braun Strowman has not been a title holder besides a tag team champion.
Oh, I don't count that.
Yeah, true. His tag team partner was Nicholas.
How dare you?
But yeah, remember in, what was it, 2018 when he was white hot and they should have pulled the trigger?
I do. Do you remember in 2020 when Impact Wrestling brought back Chris Harris for their TNA event.
Fucking hell yeah, dude. Oh, dude, I was watching. I was watching his BWJ 19 was it like 1989 or something is his full YouTube. He does like finisher compilations, and they did a it was Asylum. I think it was still Asylum TNA, and it was AMW doing the death sentence. And dude, oh my god, Chris Harris was jacked to the gill. Like he either was in the best shape of his career and he was never in better shape than that, or he was mid-cycle.
Oh, he's mid-cycle for sure.
Dude, he was fucking like I'd never seen a man so built.
That man
And
was Greek Adonis.
Yeah, and then they hit the death sentence, and I jizzed in my pants. The greatest finish of all time.
Especially the one off the cage. Holy shit.
Oh my god, was that versus Triple X?
I think so. Or the Natural. I think it was the Naturals, actually.
Was it the Naturals? Man, I forgot about them. Andy Douglas and Chase Young?
Chase Williams. Andy Douglas and Chase. No, Andy Douglas and Chase Stevens.
Chase Stevens, that's right. Yeah. Chase Stevens. Remember when remember when they got franchised?
Yeah. I also remember that they gave up on the gimmick and just said fuck it.
They just said fuck. TNA's that era, they're like, well, we got Shane Douglas. What do we do with him? Newly franchised Naturals, and they're like, fuck that. Like they were already doing that gimmick. They had the newly franchised Naturals, and they had Elix Skipper and David Young.
Well,
and, the Diamonds in the Rough.
The problem is that the newly franchised Naturals were under a different creative head, and then Russo came back in.
Yeah.
So.
Death Sentence, though. Greatest tag team finish of all time. End of conversation.
Fair enough.
End of conversation.
All right.
All right, cool. So we're getting out of here. Thank y'all for listening to another edition of the or I should say the inaugural edition of the Chuck versus the podcast. This is an Ohio Guys production, of course. For Chad Porto, I'm Alex Swisher. Goodbye, good night, and in the spirit of the episode, and what happened at the beginning, keep that Mamba mentality, guys. Have a good one.